Write My Name by Zina Azam. Some parents in Gaza have resorted to writing their children's names on their legs to help identify them should either they or the children be killed. CNN 10/22/2023. Write my name on my leg, Mama. Use the black permanent marker with the ink that doesn't bleed if it gets wet, the one that doesn't melt if it's exposed to heat. Write my name on my leg, Mama. Make the lines thick and clear. Add your special flourishes so I can take comfort in seeing my mama's handwriting when I go to sleep. Write my name on my leg, Mama, and on the legs of my sisters and brothers. This way we will belong together. This way we will be known as your children. Write my name on my leg, Mama, and please write your name and Baba's name on your legs too, so we will be remembered as a family. Write my name on my leg, Mama. Don't add any numbers, like when I was born or the address of our home. I don't want the world to list me as a number. I have a name, and I am not a number. Write my name on my leg, Mama. When the bomb hits our house, when the walls crush our skulls and bones, our legs will tell our story, how there was nowhere for us to run. Psalm 23 for this moment by Kevin Tarsa. May I remember this tender moment that love is my guide, always, shepherding me towards ways of openness and compassion. I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, in every cell of me. Love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me, love invites me to rest for a gentle while and leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I have not noticed. And so, love, quietly, sets me once again on its tender and demanding path. Even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through the untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness, I know that all will be well. That all will be well when love whispers near me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation on my shoulders. Yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on. Love blesses me from its infinite well, and I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere I go. I live in a house of love, love that will not let me go. I live in a house of love and always will.
We're feeling it, aren't we? Our collective we of humanity and the earth, we are living in an immense pool of suffering and fear and devastation. The pain of the world today is profoundly huge. Is it universal? Is it unprecedented? I don't know. but we are certainly living in a mass of intersecting crises that are causing great harm to every single one of us, and exponentially greater harm to some. How do we get through this? How can we know and believe that all will be well? That I and you and we will be well, that love whispers and blesses us all. There was a workshop that I attended a couple of years ago, and we were asked, what do you trust? My answers: the ground underneath me, trees, sun rising and sun setting, cycles of the season, change, death, and the realities of our soft bodies. This is one of those lists you make in the 30 seconds following a prompt to start, kind of a warm-up. Sometimes a bit of these surface responses that are mixed with deeper truths that lead to the things that lie within the question. I don't assert that my list has anything in it terribly profound, but the question, what do I trust, lingers on. Underneath that list in this little notebook I dug out in preparing for today, I wrote some lines that I think come from Joanna Macy, an environmental activist, an author and scholar of Buddhism who left this earthly plane not too long ago, and whose work was the core of this workshop. It says, "We can trust our pain for the world because it is of one piece with our love for life. Imagine compassion as your left hand and wisdom as your right hand. They dance together, move together, need one another, compassion and wisdom." I'm so glad I wrote those words down. Our pain in the world is one piece with our love for life. Here's a new list of what I trust and know is true. We all search for comfort, meaning, and healing. We feel and we are vulnerable beings. We are multidimensional. We are imperfect. We are complex. Our lives are finite, and we are afraid. Nothing is permanent. Change is ever moving. Our lives hold suffering and pain that is inescapable, and we need one another. Compassion understands this. Compassion reminds us that we are all made of strength and struggle, borrowing words from Brene Brown. And we're all made of joys and sorrows too. The collection of joys and sorrows that was shared here in Scoof just a few minutes ago. The joys and sorrows that we share with our beloveds, and the joys and the sorrows that stay right here, sometimes seeping their way out. Compassion, as Brene describes it, is a daily practice of recognizing and accepting our shared humanity. It's treating ourselves and others with loving kindness, and it's taking action in the face of suffering. We're not trying to be better than with our compassion. We're not trying to fix things. We can't fix the polycrises that are before us. We cannot fix the depth of pain and suffering that exists. We can't make any of that go away. But we can practice compassion and being present to both the beauty and the pain of our shared humanity. It's a practice that can use empathy as a tool if we are willing to be present to someone's pain. But here's the rub, friends. There is a myth interwoven with empathy that seems to imply that we can walk in someone else's shoes. We can't do that. We can't know the depth of the human experience, the depth of what might be happening in a person. I always come back to the powerful testimony shared and lived by Alok Vaid-Menon. Alok is a gender nonconforming trans feminine artist, storyteller, and trailblazer. And they insist that compassion doesn't require comprehension. It's always been about compassion. You shouldn't need to understand us, understand anyone, to believe that we are worthy of dignity and safety. Walking in someone else's shoes presumes that we can possibly understand, that we can possibly comprehend. What if you walk in your shoes or roll on your scooter or sit next to me in a chair, and I'll sit next to you in my own shoes and hear your story, and you'll hear mine. Alok shared a time when they were in Hawaii for the first time and went to a gathering that happens every week in an apartment of a trans host. And whoever wants to show up just shows up. So Alok went before their show, and there was about 50 people there. It was a motley crew, as Alok describes it, all ages, all genders, all races of people, who I had never met, who cooked these incredible foods. Alok describes Filipino food, native Hawaiian food, all those foods I'd never eaten before. We just stayed up late chatting, gallivanting. I was like, this is the coolest thing about being queer in the world. I don't know any of these people. And there's such immediate hospitality there and such immediate recognition. It's our suffering, Alok says, that allows us to be friends with one another, because we all know sorrow is a companion, and that is kind of our secret password into this life. It's our suffering that allows us, because sorrow is a companion, and it is our secret password to be with one another. Compassion is an action of accompaniment, which is an action. Compassion is not a relationship between the healer and the wounded, says Pema Chodron. It's a relationship between equals. Compassion becomes real when we cultivate and recognize our shared humanity. We must allow our compassion and wisdom to dance and move together, because being with suffering can evoke so many big feelings that galvanize us. Feelings like anger, which David White calls the purest form of care, that internal living flame of anger that always illuminates what we belong to, what we wish to protect, and what we are willing to hazard ourselves for. The people in that flotilla that Nanette lifted up, that is anger driving them, and anger that is showing the path to compassion. Can we be brave enough and wise enough to feel our grief, our fear, our rage, our anger, our overwhelm, and cultivate compassion to propel us through. Your heart, like mine, might have tilted a bit towards another strong feeling, a feeling that is not at all compatible with compassion, and that is despair. Because what does despair do? Despair shuts us down, locks us in, creates separation between us and another, does not lead us to act out of compassion. The Palestinian death toll in the Israel-Hamas war has topped 66,000 people, with women and children making up around half of those who have died. More than 168,000 people have been wounded since the war started. I cannot possibly walk in the shoes of that child in Gaza. I have used a black permanent marker to write on my body. I read that poem and I felt this poof of remembering, not trying to comprehend the child, but to evoke a sense of shared humanity. I used a black permanent marker to write on my body. It was a number, not a name, a number for jail support. I was protesting in conditions that might lead to my arrest. This was in 2018 during the Poor People's Campaign. This was an event by nationwide. There's a big story behind it, but let's just say it happened all over the country, all at one time, coordinated direct actions. I was part of 6 weeks of direct action and witness that took place in the Twin Cities. This was in 2018. Our strategy for several of the local nonviolent direct actions was to remain in place until we were arrested. Our point was to be arrested. Me and my senior colleague, the Reverend Jan Eller Isaacs of blessed memory, along with other clergy and secular activists, had shut down the light rail line next to the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building. Do people know of that building? It's located near Fort Snelling. It houses several federal agencies, but it is also the regional hub for our federal immigration enforcement. I was just there the other day, not seeking to be arrested, by the way. It has been the practice in direct actions, at least in my limited experience, to write in Sharpie marker the phone number for the jail support team in case you get arrested. That number, in my context, is a connection to community, to people who will help me, and a reminder that I am not alone. That number will help me get out, get home, and get safe. At least that's what it has meant in the before times. I wrote on my body using a black permanent marker with the ink that doesn't bleed. In other actions, I have faced police in riot gear, felt the pain of tear gas, and have been so very scared. And yet, I cannot possibly imagine what it is like for that child, that child's family, all the children and all the families in places like Gaza. Too often, empathy deludes us into grasping for some way to relate, some way to latch on to even the smallest of shared experiences, even if they are from grossly different contexts. I shared that story because I could see the ink. I could see the ink. I can't comprehend, but I could see the ink. As Brene Brown, in her research and what Alak and the children of Gaza and so many others testify to in their lived experiences, we need to learn how to listen to the stories others tell about what it's like in their shoes and believe them even when it doesn't match our own experiences. This is cultivating compassion for the strangers, for the generations to come, for all who are suffering, because that is all of us. Compassion is allowing our heart to be tender, to cultivate and practice a sense of acceptance that readies the heart to see the suffering of another as a reflection of our own pain, without having to comprehend or even have the slightest shred of practical connection. And because compassion is not just feelings, but taking action in the face of suffering, I want to return back to anger, because that might be a hard thing for some of us to grasp, that anger can be a powerful and motivating core of compassion. There's a charge that I heard from one of our modern day Unitarian Universalist leaders, the Reverend Bill Sinkford. Reverend Sinkford was the first Black man to serve as president of our Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And he was my mentor and teacher during my ministerial internship in his congregation in Portland, Oregon. During the horrendous response to Hurricane Katrina in 2005, Reverend Sinkford wrote, "We are a gentle and generous people, but let us not forget our anger. May it fuel not only our commitment to compassion, but also our commitment to make fundamental changes. Our vision of the beloved community must stand against a vision that would allow the privilege of the few to be accepted as just and even holy. Our religious vision must again and again ask the gospel question, who is my neighbor? And strive always to include more and more of us as we intone the words that gave birth to this nation. We, the people. We are, and we should be, both a gentle and an angry people." That, my friends, is living into and acting from a cultivation of compassion, loving kindness, dancing with anger, dancing with wisdom, building a world guided by love that whispers and blesses our shared humanity.